Last year, one of the organizations we're working with wanted to spend some time on the subject of professionalism. In specific, they were a little frustrated that the emerging leaders we were working with continued to wear torn up jeans, t-shirts, do-rags to work. This was a manufacturing setting, so when I say that, know that that particular level of dress wasn't unusual. It was quite the norm. But these folks that were in a program we were leading were designated as emerging leaders, and so they would also show up in that same dress to this gathering of emerging leaders in front of a boss that was considering whether they would grow up in the organization or not, and largely making that judgment based on how they looked. So he came to us and says, we need to talk about professionalism. So professionalism in what context? Well, I don't like what they wear. Fine, we can talk about that. So we talked quite a bit about dress. We talked about the notion that wearing a clean pair of slacks as an emerging leader, or even as a leader, would be of value. That wearing a collared shirt, that not having visible tattoos, whatever your organization's norm is what the norm is, right? You have an expectation of your leaders. And in this circumstance, we got a lot of pushback. It was from these emerging leaders. They said, well, I work really, really hard. That's the evidence of my professionalism. It's not what I wear. That seems awfully superficial. So the boss had still communicated this expectation very, very, very clearly. And in fact, we had it nailed that I want you to wear a collared shirt and clean jeans, or at least clean slacks when you come into the room, especially for these emerging leader program discussions. The next time we showed up, this group comes into the room, and guess what? They were wearing torn up jeans and t-shirts and do-rags again. So in our completely subtle way, we said, what is it you don't understand about professionalism in this organization? They said, well, wait, we're working hard. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing. In fact, we're doing it so well, we wouldn't be in this room if not otherwise, right? Well, I said, the boss told you that his expectation for professionals is that you clean up. At break, one of the young people goes out to the car. They put a collared shirt on. They come back in. You can imagine what kind of impact that makes. Now, we were working with about 30 leaders at the time, so they were divided in two smaller groups, meeting on different days. This was day one. On day two, when we walked in and the emerging leader cohort shows up, guess what? They were all wearing slacks and they were all wearing collared shirts. The next time we came to the group, this was some months later, both groups wore slacks and collared shirts. Some even remarked, don't you notice I have trimmed my facial hair and gotten a haircut? This is what they perceived as the expectation, and they were right in this context. That's not the story. The story is that what they had experienced by virtue of just putting on a collared shirt on the plant floor was dramatically different than when they were wearing do-rags and dirty jeans. They were being asked, I have a question about this. What do you think? I didn't know you got promoted. Now, mind you, they hadn't done anything or announced anything. They'd just worn a collared shirt. So they'd gotten promoted? No, I'm just out here. But somehow their stature overnight had changed just by cleaning up. So there is an expectation among professionals that you look like one. That's one. It is about what you do, and there's no question about that as well. But you have to look and behave like a professional. Emerging leaders to professionals, and I draw the distinction because not all emerging leaders are there yet. Emerging leaders to professionals, there's also a difference. When you ask them what they do, they will say, I work at an ad agency, or I'm a marketeer, or I build trailers. What you want them to ultimately say, what you want professionals to say is that they identify with that industry or that organization. I don't work at an ad agency, I am a. That statement defines professionalism. It's the difference between someone in the military saying that I'm in the Army or I'm a soldier. One of those is a part-timer in attitude, not necessarily in employment, but a part-timer in attitude. And one of those has has signed on to what the expectations are. And if you don't believe me, just go look up the definitions. There are really two definitions of professionalism, or two characteristics of a professional. One is that they have some study, they've invested some time and energy in learning a profession, and two is that they live to a specific value code. So it's not about what you do, it's really about how you do it. How you do it includes how you present yourself, how you do it includes the value system that you apply, and ultimately how you present yourself to the subordinates that you work with every single day.